I never imagined a switched-at-birth story would happen to me. When my biological parents showed up with the girl I was switched with, I was in a back alley, cigarette in one hand and a stick in the other, squaring off against a gang of punks. Everyone froze. Instinctively, they shielded the girl behind them, gentle, sweet-looking. Who would have thought that I, a street thug, would turn out to be the real daughter of Whitmore Carrington partners? Dressed in a school uniform, smoking and holding a bat, I stood there as the Whitmore family instinctively protected the wrong girl. A well-dressed middle-aged couple at the front looked at me in disbelief. "Are you Emily Johnson?" the man asked, voice trembling. I flicked the cigarette away, confused but nodded. My gang exchanged looks, completely baffled. "Emily, who are these people?" someone asked. Before I could reply, the elegant woman rushed over, hugged me tightly, and burst into tears. My daughter, I'm your real mother." Even the man next to her had red-rimmed eyes. I was about to push her off when a young man stepped forward, looking at me with a complicated gaze. "Emily Johnson. I'm your older brother, Julian Reed Whitmore. 17 years ago, your adoptive mother, our maid, gave birth around the same time as Mom. She swapped you with her own daughter out of greed for a better life." Before I could even react to the truth of my birth, I noticed that when he accused my adoptive mother of being cruel and greedy, the girl behind them visibly paled, biting her lip, eyes welling up with tears. Julian quickly realized his slip and turned back to comfort her in a soft tone. The so-called parents who were just clinging to me now subtly pulled away. "Vivienne, don't be afraid. It's not your fault. You and your sister are both precious to us. We'll never abandon you." Precious? They dared to say that right in front of their biological daughter. That day, under the stunned eyes of my gang, I got into a luxury car worth millions. Before I left, Danny yelled after me, "Emily, don't forget us when you're rich. We're counting on you." I smirked and flashed an okay sign. The Whitmore family stared at me with complex expressions. I didn't care. Honestly, I wasn't that shaken. 17 years with my adoptive mom taught me that survival is what matters. Being switched just meant a shot at a better living condition, nothing more. The crying girl, Vivienne, finally dried her tears and spoke with guilt. "Emily, I'm Vivienne Grace Whitmore, your sister. I'm sorry. I stole your life for 17 years. She teared up again. The man sighed, and the mother and brother rushed to console her. Annoyed, I clicked my tongue. Crying? Again? If tears fixed things, I'd have been saved 1,000 times in the last 17 years. "Ms. Whitmore, could you not cry? Do you know you've cried twice since we met? You're acting like you're the one who suffered here. Can you not steal my moment? I haven't even started crying yet." Silence. Her tears froze. The whole Whitmore family went stiff. I turned away, watching the cityscape outside the car window. Towering buildings, glittering lights. For once, I was close to all of it. After a pause, the mother spoke first. "Emily, I'm sorry. Vivienne didn't mean any harm. She's just too sensitive and overwhelmed. She feels guilty." The father nodded along. Julian furrowed his brow. "Emily, she's just afraid we'll stop loving her now that you're back. Please don't blame her." Then he glanced at my clothes and added, "You should dress more like Vivienne. Elegant, calm. That's how a girl should be." Sure, it sounded polite, but there was judgment in his tone. The parents nodded in agreement. Even Vivienne chimed in. "Sister, those people you hung out with, they're not good for you. I heard your grades weren't great either. They must have dragged you down." I was speechless. And yet, the Whitmore family looked even more pleased with her, as if she were some paragon of virtue. Facing their disapproving stares, I smiled coldly. "Well, the tuition and living expenses you're judging me for? Those so-called bad influences are the ones who paid for them. And all this blame your beloved mother. As for you, Julian, you're smart. You must have guessed why I'm called Emily Johnson, right?" Silence. Everyone's face turned pale. Even Julian, who had just been lecturing me, couldn't meet my eyes. Vivienne's face flushed deep red. She looked down, fingers digging into her palms. I couldn't help but smirk inside. A hothouse flower, even if she's a white lotus that kills without blood, still can't beat a man-eating bloom that crawled out of the abyss. The Whitmore family held a grand celebration to welcome me back. That night, the mansion was ablaze with lights, packed with relatives, business associates, and high society elites. My parents led me dressed to perfection onto the stage and formally introduced me. My story had long become a juicy piece of gossip in these circles, so no one looked particularly surprised. But I couldn't help scoffing as I spotted Vivienne Grace Whitmore mingling effortlessly with the crowd, smiling and chatting like nothing had happened. She was definitely plotting something. Sure enough, the moment I stepped off the stage, she grabbed my arm with a practiced smile. "Come on, sis, let me introduce you to some of our peers." Even my mother nodded approvingly. "Go on, Emily, get to know them. Follow your sister's lead." I shrugged and followed. On a nearby sofa lounged a bunch of pampered heirs and heiresses, probably childhood friends of Vivienne's. They gave me a full-body scan, eyes full of disdain. One guy, holding a wine glass, sneered openly. "Who let the country bumpkin in? You think you can just blend into our circle?" Vivienne quickly stepped in with her trademark defensive tone. "Charles, don't be like that. It's Emily's first time at an event like this. She's just not used to everything yet." Her best friend tugged her back and scoffed. "Vivienne, you're too kind. Let her walk all over you and she will." She turned to glare at me. "Let me be clear. We don't care if you're the real daughter. In this circle, ability is what counts. I heard you used to run with gangs, a little street rat. Don't think you can replace Vivienne. She's miles ahead of you helping her brother with business, top of her class, and already accepted into Harvard. You'd better not get any ideas." I sat back and listened with genuine amusement as they took turns insulting me. Then Vivienne gave her signature, gentle correction, like she always does. Once the duck chorus finally shut up, I leaned back, yawned, and said lazily, "Done? Great. Now go get me something to eat, and a drink, then maybe I'll forgive you." I flopped onto the plush sofa. Silence. Then explosive laughter. The guy with the wine laughed so hard he spilled his drink. "Oh my God, Vivienne, your sister's delusional. Who does she think she is, ordering us around?" Vivienne gave me a fake scolding look, probably thrilled inside. "Emily, how could you speak to them like that?" "Why not?" I asked, wide-eyed. Then I took out my phone, cast it to the room's giant screen, and hit play. Suddenly, everyone heard their own voices booming through the speakers. "Where'd this bumpkin come from? You think a little thug like you belongs here? Don't get cocky." Dead silence. The party froze, faces drained of color. The older generation family heads and business magnates looked furious. The rich kids who'd been laughing seconds ago were now pale, speechless. But no one looked worse than dear Vivienne, the perfect little lotus. My parents stormed over, grim-faced. They didn't say a word, just stared at the older relatives of these brats. Even Julian, my smug brother, stepped in front of me, smiling coldly. Vivienne tried to explain. "I tried to stop them. Really, I did." My parents softened instantly, of course. Mom took her hand gently. "It's okay. Don't be scared." I smirked to myself. Moments later, the same arrogant group was being dragged over by their elders, forced to apologize with stiff smiles. "Emily, dear, my son was just spouting nonsense. Don't take it to heart. I'll deal with him when we get home." Yes, same with my daughter. I'll make sure she pays for this always talking trash when she's bottom of the class." My parents looked a bit relieved now. They turned to me with caution. "Emily, maybe let it go? They're just kids playing around." "Well, I'm a good girl, right? Of course I'll be obedient." So I looked at the blushing group of rich kids and said sweetly, "I already said bring me some food and a drink, and I'll forgive you." No one laughed this time. One by one, under everyone's gaze, they swallowed their pride and did as told. I sipped my orange juice and ended the scene with a bright smile. "I forgive you all. I'm such a generous girl." After that night, Vivienne never smiled again, and for a while, she behaved. I thought she had finally learned her lesson. Turns out, She was just preparing for a bigger play. That morning at breakfast, I casually brought up my adoptive mother. "So, what are you planning to do about Mary Johnson?" The Whitmore family exchanged awkward glances. Vivienne lowered her head, eyes shimmering like she was about to cry. It was my father who finally spoke up, smiling ingratiatingly. "Well, Emily, people like her will get what they deserve eventually." My mother nodded quickly. "Right, getting involved would just dirty our hands." Julian said nothing, quietly eating his breakfast. I chuckled, voice light but sharp. "So basically, you're not doing anything?" My parents looked embarrassed, opening their mouths but failing to speak. Julian finally sighed and said, "Emily, the public already knows Mary Johnson is Vivienne's biological mother. You know how it works if a parent has a criminal record. The child gets dragged down too. We do want her to be punished, but not if it risks Vivienne. She's innocent in this. And besides, Mary Johnson did raise you. It's not easy for us to go after her. I'm sure you understand, right?" Vivienne looked moved. Mom patted her hand gently. Julian smiled at her. They looked like the perfect picture of familial love and warmth. I ruined the moment with a cold laugh. "Raised me?" Under their confused and slightly annoyed stares, I slowly rolled up my sleeves. My arms were covered in burn marks and scars. Mother gasped and covered her mouth, tears brimming in her eyes. Father's lips trembled. Julian turned away, unable to look. Vivienne clenched her fists and bit her lip. Then I lifted my pant legs layer upon layer of thin, white lash marks. Only when I saw their expressions shake did I smile faintly, rolling my clothes back down. I stood, grabbed my bag, and tossed out a line before walking away. "I'm heading to school. Not going with you today, sis." I didn't refuse the family car, of course. Only an idiot would reject free perks from the Whitmores. But later, thinking back, I realized it was probably those scars that finally pushed Vivienne over the edge. If she didn't act soon, she'd lose her place in the family for good. At school, Danny saw me from down the hall and immediately shouted, "Emily, you're finally back. Our queen has returned." I told him 100 times to stop watching those shady movies. He never listened. I almost couldn't be bothered to respond. Everyone at school already knew. The real daughter of Whitmore Carrington Partners turned out to be a street thug. I knew what they were thinking. Of course, they'd favor the sweet, gentle, well-educated fake over the loud, rude, unrefined real one. Danny caught up and whispered, "Emily, is it okay at your new place? They're not bullying you, are they?" I smirked and gave him a side glance. Are you still gonna hang out with us?" he asked, voice quieter now. "I mean, won't those rich kids look down on us?" I snorted and smacked the back of his head. "What? Already forgot what you said? If one of us makes it, don't leave the others behind, remember? Who the hell are they to look down on you?" Danny instantly perked up, puffing out his chest. "Hell yeah! We'll live it up with Emily leading the charge." But his eyes were a little red. I laughed softly, remembering the last time he cried. He'd stolen 2 yuan from home and pooled money with a few friends to pay my tuition. When his parents found out, he refused to say why. They thought he'd spent it on cigarettes or girls and beat him half to death. He came to me after, eyes red, but still grinning like an idiot as he handed over the cash. I pressed my tongue against the roof of my mouth, forcing down the sourness rising in my chest. Looking out at the blue sky, I whispered, "I probably won't last long in that house." After school, I didn't return to the Whitmore estate immediately. Instead, I took my time walking back to the house I had lived in for 17 years. From outside the window, I stood smoking, watching Mary Johnson passed out on the floor, drunk and wasted, as usual. I kicked open the door. She didn't stir. Her face was flushed, snoring like thunder. Classic. I walked to the balcony. My old room had long been trashed by her. Pushing aside a dead money tree plant, I retrieved the thing it had been hiding. A crumpled watercolor painting, 3 stick figures, barely recognizable. I folded it carefully and tucked it into my backpack. One last glance at Mary Johnson, filthy and unconscious. one last glance at this crumbling hellhole I called home. Then I turned and walked away without a second thought. I stopped next at a scrapyard tucked deep in an alleyway. A middle-aged couple worked among piles of junk. Inside their cramped shack, a teenage boy studied under a flickering lamp. His little sister sat beside him, quietly playing, not disturbing him at all. She suddenly spotted me and lit up, ready to run over. I ducked away immediately, leaving only a burnt-out cigarette behind. Behind me, I heard a young voice call, "Mia, what is it?" I watched as she gestured, mouth opening but no sound came out. The boy noticed the cigarette. His eyes dimmed for a moment, then he gently patted her head and led her back inside. I stood there a while longer. When the sky darkened, I finally hailed a ride back to the Whitmores. Mother asked why I came back so late. I shrugged and said nothing. Vivienne, ever timely, jumped in cheerfully. "Mom, I got first place in the mock exams." She made sure to clarify she was first among seniors. I was also first from the bottom. Mother beamed with pride, her joy plain as day. I slouched on the sofa, remembering a much younger me. Back then, I once proudly brought home a certificate for ranking first in class. I was so excited, thinking if Mary Johnson saw that I could be a top student, she'd stop beating me. Maybe she'd feed me. Maybe she'd hug me like other moms did. But no, she went ballistic. Rage twisted her face. She jabbed at my arms with her bony fingers and screamed, "You? First place? You filthy brat, you think you deserve that?" I thought that if I worked hard, she'd be pleased. Maybe then I could earn safety. Or love. But no, her cruel little drama is over now. The night before the next round of exam results, Vivienne finally made her move. Wearing silk pajamas, she stopped me outside my room, smiling. "Sis, can we talk?" I raised a brow and followed her in. A housekeeper was cleaning up her room. By the large floor-to-ceiling window, Vivienne turned to me carefully. "Can you not hold my biological mother's past against me?" she asked gently. I laughed coldly. Why would I do that? She bit her lip, tears brimming. "The college entrance exams are coming. If anything happens to my mom, it'll affect me." I tried to pull my hand back, but she clung tighter, then suddenly shoved herself backward with surprising force. The window shattered with a loud crash. Vivienne fell, pale as paper, like a fragile bird. As she tumbled into the garden, I caught a glimpse the barest flicker of a secret smile. She fell into the blooming white peonies, her blood staining them like spilled ink. Screams rang out. The gardener shouted. The maid screamed too. The Whitmore family came running, stumbling out to the garden. The maid pointed at me, incoherent. Mother sobbed as she cradled Vivienne's unconscious body, her wails sharp and raw. Julian and the others scrambled to call 911. Father turned to me, and slap hit me hard. My ears rang. Blood oozed from the corner of my mouth. Through the ringing, I still heard his furious voice. "Emily, I knew you were trouble. You'll never change, you're poison." No one looked back at me. They all rushed to the ambulance, hearts and hands full of Vivienne. I stood there alone, palm print burning on my cheek. I pulled out a cigarette. Just as I lit it, rain began to fall. Perfect timing. Vivienne Grace Whitmore, ruthless. I chuckled soundlessly. We were destined to be enemies, but I had to admit I respected her boldness. After all, she knew. No amount of soft-spoken pity could compete with the scars carved into my flesh. Her mother's reputation would never outweigh my suffering. Unless she bled for it. She tried to set me up, and I let her succeed. The next day, the Whitmore family stormed home, exhausted and furious. Father looked like hell. Mother had clearly cried all night. Julian's eyes burned with disgust. He grabbed me by the arm and slammed me to the floor. "You should be glad Vivienne isn't worse off. She has a concussion, a broken leg. We were wrong about you. You're a heartless ingrate just like Mary Johnson. What does Vivienne have to do with her? She's never even met that woman. And you punish her out of spite?" He pointed at me, eyes cold as ice. "You're coming with me to the hospital. You're going to kneel and apologize to her." I nearly burst out laughing. "Seriously? You want me to kneel and apologize to Vivienne Grace Whitmore? Why not ask Mary Johnson to kneel and apologize to me first? Julian's face went stone cold. That's between you and Mary Johnson, Julian said, cold and final. But Vivienne, you hurt her. It is our business. I nodded, as if understanding something new. Oh, so that's how it is. Well, I'm not apologizing. Even my usually composed mother snapped. She pointed at me, voice trembling. Emily, you're not my daughter. My daughter could never be this vicious. I nodded again. Understood. Father sat silently, head lowered, lost in thought. I was done with all of them. I pulled out the termination agreement I'd prepared days ago. Here, sign this. Give me $1.8 million and I'll disappear. You never raised me, call it $100K per year for 18 years. And the scars? Laser removal alone would run in the hundreds of thousands. Mother flinched like I'd slapped her. She turned her back on me, refusing to look. Silence hung in the room. It was Father who moved. Without hesitation, he signed the paper. Then tossed me a bank card. There's $2 million in there. Just stay away from us forever. Mother and Julian stared at him, clearly disapproving, but he didn't care. He had made up his mind to sever all ties with his biological daughter. I pocketed the contract and card, grabbed my already packed bag, and walked out of the house I hadn't even lived in for a full month. I didn't look back once. Truth is, I did give the Whitmores chances. When we first met. At the party. Just now. But even second chances have limits. 3 strikes and you're out. News spread fast. Everyone from high society to my classmates knew the story. The real heiress tried to harm the sweet, kind fake one. Barely a month later, she was kicked out of the Whitmore family. Danny and the boys around me clenched their fists in fury. I just smiled lazily. What's the big deal? I still walked away with $2 million. Danny kept his head down, lips pressed tight. No one said anything. I knew they were afraid I'd be hurt. But the truth? I never waste emotion on people who don't matter. And anyway, I had 2 parting gifts lined up for Vivienne and the Whitmores. After school, I went to the bank, withdrew some cash, and personally visited the homes of friends whose parents had once secretly scraped together money for my tuition. There was no way I was giving it to those idiots directly. They'd blow it all gaming in an internet cafe. Their parents, though, accepted the envelopes with calm, familiar smiles. We always knew, one uncle said. They gave that money to help you, we just pretended to punish them. Those brats needed it. I froze for a second, then gave them a deep, respectful bow. They knew my story, the scars, the gossip, but not one of them looked at me with disgust. Good girl, one of them said. Live your life well from now on. I thanked them sincerely. As I turned to leave, I couldn't help but look back and saw only warm, genuine smiles. For the first time, something glowed quietly in my chest. Later, during the family exam, Vivienne didn't show up. Heh. Her choice. Every gain demands a price. As for me, just as expected, I ranked top 3 in the entire province. Mary Johnson always believed I was dead last, that someone like me belonged at the bottom. But no one wanted out of that pit more than I did. And to crawl out of a place like that? To escape. You learn to play the game. To hide the blood. To wear the mask. I wanted to escape. To crawl out of the abyss. And if that meant hiding my claws, wearing a mask soaked in silence, then so be it. Only those who bleed quietly get the chance to rise. The entire school teachers, classmates were stunned when my scores came out. Someone even reported me to the education board, anonymously accusing me of cheating. Too bad for them, the investigation came up empty. Because I didn't cheat, not even once. Emily, top 3 in the province. Emily, who had been playing dumb the whole time. The shock was felt like an earthquake even by the Whitmores. Maybe they regretted what happened. I don't know if it was my results or something else. Not that I cared. The day after the results were released, the Whitmore family came to find me. I had already moved out, renting a tiny room in an alley. God knows how they found the address. When I got back, I saw them crowded awkwardly in my small living room. Vivienne, of course, wasn't there. Mrs. Whitmore opened her mouth as if to speak, but hesitated. Mr. Whitmore rubbed his temples, looking strained. "It's been long enough," he said. "This fight, it's time to end it. Vivienne has already forgiven you. We've forgiven you too." I almost laughed. They hadn't even bothered to take off their shoes. I took mine off slowly, slipped into my slippers, and replied calmly, "Do you know that what you're doing technically counts as a legal entry?" Mr. Whitmore's frown deepened. "What are you talking about? We're your parents, your family. How could visiting you be illegal?" I sighed, pulled open a drawer, and held up the severance agreement. "Read it again. We cut ties. Don't come bothering me again." Maybe it was my indifference that finally broke them. The Whitmores left in anger. And me? I couldn't have cared less. That evening, I returned to the scrapyard in the alley. This time, I waved at the little girl. She spotted me, her face lighting up, and started to run. Before she reached me, I dropped something and dashed away. A bank card. Taped to it, a small piece of paper fluttered in the wind. For me as treatment. After my results came out, Ivy League universities began contacting me. But I chose S University, the top-ranked school in the country. Not for the prestige, not for revenge, but because Mia once wrote on a piece of paper, "When I grow up, I want to go to S University. If I make it, Mommy, Daddy, and brother will be proud." So I chose S University, and I'll wait just a few years for her to catch up. After I chose S University, Julian texted me. I had already blocked them, of course, but the man had more numbers than decency. S University has a long history and a good academic culture. It's a great choice. "Mom and Dad want to host a celebration banquet for you. Come home." I let out a short laugh, but this time, I didn't say no. It was time to deliver my final gift. "Sure," I replied. "I'll attend the celebration banquet." Julian responded immediately, practically essays worth of time, location, and fake concern. He even scolded me for having an attitude with our parents. I didn't bother replying. Eventually, he got the message and shut up. The day of the banquet was bright and clear. The Whitmores booked the most luxurious hotel in the city. I arrived just on time, walking in slow and casual, under their anxious stares. Relief washed over their faces when they saw me. They were proud, clearly proud that Emily Whitmore had gotten into S University. The venue was immaculate. Relatives and business partners came over, wine glasses in hand, and my parents cheerfully introduced me to all of them. I glanced at my smiling mother, the same one who'd once told me to my face I wasn't her daughter, and wondered where that woman had gone. Vivienne sat in a wheelchair the entire time, pale as a ghost. Her little entourage of friends surrounded her, glaring at me like I was their mortal enemy. None of them came to offer congratulations. They looked more like they were attending a funeral. Eventually, one of them cracked Charles. The smug little man who once handed me snacks like a servant, now tried his best fake smile routine as he raised a glass. "Miss Whitmore, what a glorious day. It's just a pity. Your sister should have shared the stage today. But, well, she can't stand on her own anymore." The room tensed. Even my so-called parents lost their smiles. I clinked glasses with him and smiled sweetly. "Oh, that? What a coincidence. I was just about to apologize to my dear sister." A flicker of hope lit their eyes. Charles, however, looked uneasy, especially when I turned toward Vivienne. She tried to smile, but I could see it. Panic. I calmly walked over, gripped her wheelchair, and wheeled her onto the stage. Her entire body trembled. I turned on the mic. "Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for coming to my university celebration. I know some of you might have heard about the recent conflict between me and my sister, Vivienne Grace Whitmore." I smiled, innocent as a lamb. Vivienne looked like she'd seen a ghost. Then, I tapped my phone. The congratulatory slideshow vanished from the hotel's big screen, replaced by surveillance footage. Her face turned ashen. She turned to me, horrified. I leaned in and whispered, "Vivienne, you didn't think you were the only one who could bribe the maids, did you?" Turns out, while she was out pretending to be innocent, I'd paid off another housemaid who installed hidden cameras in Vivienne's room. Everyone's attention turned to the footage. Crystal clear video of the accident played on screen. The tug between us. Our voices. And then Vivienne grabbing my hand, throwing herself backward. A faint smile at the corners of her lips. And crashing through the window. Simple. Obvious. Just like the last party, the crowd froze. The Whitmore family slowly turned their heads to look at Vivienne, disbelief in their eyes. Vivienne stared at the sea of disappointed, scornful, disbelieving faces. She couldn't take it. She fainted on the spot. I stepped down from the stage, calm and composed. Before I left the venue, I walked up to my frozen family and delivered one last parting gift. "Oh, and Dad, you should know this by now, right? Vivienne, she's your real daughter. Yours and Mary Johnson's." The incident caused quite the stir. After all, the Whitmores were a prominent family in Sea City. It even made the news. The video showed Vivienne being wheeled out of the hotel, unconscious, while people around her looked disgusted. And after she was gone, Mrs. Whitmore lost her mind, punching, kicking, screaming at Mr. Whitmore like a woman possessed. Even Julian didn't stop her. No one knew what had really happened. I munched on snacks, watching it all unfold like a primetime comedy. Honestly, pretty good entertainment. So how did I know that Vivienne Grace Whitmore was actually the daughter of Mary Johnson and Mr. Whitmore? Mary told me herself, drunken and mumbling. She kept repeating Vivienne's name. Any idiot could have figured something was off. And I'd never forgotten her twisted rage the day I proudly showed her my first place award. That wasn't the anger of a woman who hated me. That was envy. Someone had a daughter better than hers, and she couldn't stand it. One night, I coaxed her into spilling the truth. Mary Johnson, once the Whitmores' maid, had an affair with the master of the house. She got pregnant. So did Mrs. Whitmore. Of course, Mr. Whitmore wanted her to get rid of the child. But Mary had other plans. When the babies were born, she switched them, took me, left Vivienne behind, and disappeared. What she didn't expect was that Mr. Whitmore noticed. He'd seen the birthmark on my neck. Vivienne didn't have one. But he kept quiet, afraid his affair would be exposed. Afraid to lose his image as the perfect husband and father. So, my biological father let Mary take me away. He sent hush money every year, large sums supposedly for my care. But I never saw a cent. All it did was finance Mary's alcoholism. When I first learned the truth, it hit me like a lightning strike. But later, I went silent because I understood something important. No one was coming to save me. I had to save myself. So when the Whitmores came to bring me home, I had already buried all hope. And even then, they still favored Vivienne. I gave them chances. They chose failure. What happened next? Karma. The Whitmore family fell. The divorce between Mr. and Mrs. Whitmore became a public scandal. The truth about the baby switch and the affair exploded across the tabloids. Their company tanked. Stocks plummeted. The divorce led to internal strife and corporate chaos. What was once a powerful empire became a hollow shell. Mr. Whitmore left with Vivienne in tow, not out of love, but because she had nowhere else to go. Funny, isn't it? All that talk about family is more than blood. Yet when status and benefit are at stake, people become ugly. Cruel. Vivienne was ruthless but delusional. That's why she lost. Badly. Later, Mrs. Whitmore and Julian sued Mary Johnson. She ended up right where she belonged, behind bars. Julian started messaging me nonstop. Apologies. Updates. Please. Telling me how much Mom missed me. Mom? I never had one. They even started waiting outside my apartment. When I saw the two of them again, the so-called mother and brother, I almost didn't recognize them. Mrs. Whitmore looked haggard and gray, all traces of her beauty gone. Julian had white in his hair far too early. Mrs. Whitmore almost dropped to her knees. I stopped her calmly. Julian spoke bitterly. Emily, Mary Johnson's in prison. We didn't charge your father for your sake. Any charges might have implicated you too. I raised an eyebrow. Oh, so now I get the same treatment Vivienne used to enjoy. Too bad, I'm not touched. I took out the severance agreement once again, voice sharp and unwavering. The moment I chose not to release the surveillance footage right away, you should have known where I stood. Please don't come again. There is no us. I have nothing to do with the Whitmore family anymore. Under the streetlight, they both went pale. I turned away and walked, never once looking back. From now on, we're strangers. Forever. Emily deserves a life of her own. Side story: A world with sound. I was born deaf and mute. My parents couldn't read or write. They ran a scrap recycling station on the edge of the city. After my brother was born, they had me only to discover I couldn't hear or speak. It was a heavy blow to an already struggling family. Meeting Emily was a complete accident. I was very, very little back then. All I remember is that it was raining hard, and I saw her crouched beside our garbage bin barefoot, soaked, wearing thin clothes. Furious, I approached her. She looked up sharply, fierce and defensive. It scared me, I almost cried. But I'm a deaf mute. Even crying makes no sound. She quickly realized something was wrong and panicked, clumsily trying to comfort me. That was how it started. I snuck out a tiny birthday cake my brother had bought for me cheap, full of artificial flavor, but Emily and I ate it like it was the best thing in the world. Later, I noticed she was often hungry, so I kept sneaking out food whatever little we had just so she could eat. One day, I drew a picture for her. Crayons, messy little stick figures. But she loved it. I saw it in her eyes. She tucked it away carefully like it was treasure. Everything was good, for a while. But once Emily started high school, she stopped visiting. I only saw her twice after that. Once, I spotted her in the alley. The moment she saw me, she ran. I didn't chase. My brother picked up something, she dropped a card and held me close. I felt his tears fall onto my head. They were hot. Emily thought we never noticed her. But of course we did. The food that always went missing. The quiet footsteps outside at night. I sometimes slipped out just to see her from a distance. But my brother, he saw everything. He would watch, hidden in the shadows. He never told her. Later, we went to the hospital. Mom, Dad, and my brother used the money Emily had left us, a full $1 million. Congenital deafness isn't easy to treat. But the doctors did everything they could. I got hearing aids. For the first time, I heard the world, the chirping of birds, the hum of traffic, people laughing, shouting. All of it a gift from Emily. From my parents. From my brother. My parents worked even harder after that. They were determined to pay her back. Then, one day, my brother told me, Emily got into S University. He wanted to go there too. He was only 1 year behind her. He patted my head, smiling gently, the kind of smile that feels like sunlight. Emily and I will both wait for you at S University. I was still small, but I nodded with all my might. Don't be fooled, I knew. I knew my brother liked Emily. One time, Mom was scrolling through photos on her old phone and came across a blurry picture of a smiling girl, eyes shining, smile radiant. It was her, Emily. Mom recognized her instantly. So did I. Only one person would have secretly taken that picture. Only my brother. He blamed it on me, but I couldn't even work the phone back then. The following year, my brother made it. He got into S University. The whole family cried. Even my brother, though, I think his tears were for more than just pride. That night, we all gathered around as he dialed a number. It had been saved for years, carefully, secretly. The call connected. Hello? Everyone smiled. My brother, too, quietly. Tears fell one by one onto the table. His voice trembled. Hi, Miss Emily. My name is Nathaniel. And just like that, their story began. As for me, I'll grow up quickly, too. I'll catch up. Someday, we'll all be together in a world full of sound.